It's a pretty typical day here in the middle of December in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. A little dreary, but certainly not enough to rain on our parade. It's time for the national championship in Division II women's soccer. The Lakers from Grand Valley State in the Great Lakes Intercollegiate Athletic Conference against the Western Washington Vikings out of the Great Northwest Athletic Conference. Alongside Kit McConico, I'm Brendan Gulick. Welcome to the Division II National Championship. Should be a really fun match, a rematch of the 2016 title game. And quite honestly, over the last 7 years, these two teams have been the best in the country.
They have indeed. These are the best two teams in the country in the last 7 years. You can argue over the last decade. This is the matchup that everyone on the women's side was looking for, and we have it. Should be a great one today.
We're talking about the two best defenses, but if you want to think about it in a different perspective, Western Washington defensively and Grand Valley State offensively have been playing at a completely different level than the rest of the country. That's going to be the biggest matchup to watch. Let's take a look at the bracket to remind you how we got here. Earlier this week, it was a Thursday semifinals. Grand Valley State didn't have too much of an issue with St. Rose in the first half. They outshot them 26-1, but needed a stronger second half to win that game 3-2, where Western Washington shut out Flagler, who was the only remaining unbeaten team in the country. And so now we have this national championship set. On the Western Washington side, their goalkeeper, Natalie Derricks, is a very good keeper out of Kirtland, Washington. And look, if this Western Washington team is going to win their second ever national title today, Kit, they need her to play like a superstar.
She's been a superstar all year. The junior has been outstanding. Leads the nation's top defense, a .37 goals against average. She and Nelson, the center back in front of her, they make for a potent pairing.
On the other side, though, you got to think about how good offensively this Grand Valley State team is. They have broken several school records this year as part of a 24-1 campaign. But if you think even further big picture, this might be one of the best Division II women's soccer offensive teams ever.
And that's saying something. Grand Valley State, they've had some great ones in the past, but this team over 4.5 goals a game, over 5 in the postseason.
The Cook and Rico Segura standing there at midfield, two of the best. Match official John Douglas for the national championship. Away we go in Pittsburgh. The Lakers in white, the Vikings in their light blue. Somebody's going to go home with some hardware today. Grand Valley State, a 5-time national champion. Nobody in Division II history has ever won the championship more often. They also have 4 runner-up finishes, including last year when they were upset by the University of Bridgeport. And they also lost in 2016 to Western Washington, which snapped a three-peat for them, winning the titles in 13-14 and 2015. Western Washington is playing in this game for just the second time ever after having won it a couple years back. We'll give you the starting lineups here momentarily, but some early pressure applied by this Western Washington side. I think it's important for them to get off to a good start.
Without a doubt, that's what the Vikings need to do. Get some possession, get offense early on, put the Lakers under pressure. Lakers so potent offensively. You look at all the stats, everything they've done, but they are a team that used to dictating things. And we'll see if Western Washington can flip the tables. If the Vikings can take control offensively, how do the Lakers respond?
Emily Nelson, the right center back, got tangled up over there with the redshirt freshman and All-American Chantel Carranza, who was in the starting lineup. She missed last weekend with an injury, but was able to play in the semifinal on Thursday, and she did score one of the 3 Grand Valley State goals. For the Western Washington Vikings, their goalkeeper, we mentioned, Natalie Derricks. Across the back line from left to right, it's Mackenzie Burks, Katie Watt, Emily Nelson, and Peyton Chick, a senior from Kent, Washington, who's had a fabulous postseason. In the midfield, expect Grace Eversole, Jordan Bartleson, and Darby Doyle to play well. And on the attack, wide on the left, Zoe Milburn. The All-American striker, Carly White, is the center forward. And Liv Larson, who's having a terrific season as well, out wide on the right.
No changes in the starting 11 for the Vikings, nor would you expect there would be. This is the starting 11 they have seen most of this postseason. They are all on the same page. They work very well as a unit together.
On the Grand Valley State side, Jessica Radis from Greater Cleveland. She is from Medina, Ohio, and a junior goalkeeper that has been very good this year, despite the fact that this Western Washington side maybe has just a slight edge in terms of their defensive metrics. It's almost equal. when you look at Radis versus Derricks. And at the early part of this game, Western Washington controlling things offensively. Across the back line for Grand Valley State, their starting lineup. Sid O'Donnell will play out wide on the left. Cecilia, who goes by Cess Steinwasher, the left center back. At right center back, Abby Willerer, and the right back is McKenna Schoolman. In the midfield, Gianna Parlove, Riko Segura, who is the National Player of the Year from Tokyo, Japan, and the only senior on this team. And Darlene Rademacher, sophomore midfielder out of Sterling Heights, Michigan. And on the attack, we mentioned Carranza, redshirt freshman from St. Charles, Illinois. Out wide on the right, it's Katie Barron. And their young lady out wide on the left, one of the most prolific goal scorers to ever play at Grand Valley State, Ava Cook.
Lakers operating out of a 4-1-2-3, just the one change, as you mentioned. Carranza, who came on as a substitute in the semifinal, gets the start up top. That pushes Cook out to the left, and Deloach heads to the bench in the starters today for the Lakers.
Greta Deloach will certainly factor into this game somewhere along the way as Katie Barron goes in that right corner and runs this one down. All right, let's start thinking about how these two teams can make adjustments coming into today, because for the first time in person, both staffs had a chance to see the other team. When you're playing at a championship level, I would imagine, Kit, you're probably a little more focused on doing what you do well as opposed to trying to stop the other team. But when you're splitting hairs between two really good sides, how do you see the little differences in this game?
Western Washington has a slight size advantage. They have taller players. They're good on set pieces. The defense has been their hallmark all year. The difference between this Western Washington team in 2019 and teams we've seen in the past from the Vikings, their offense is much improved. When they won that national title in 2016, it was defense. The offense came in spurts. They've put a much larger focus on developing the offense, and they've been able to do so. So this is a complete team this year. But again, I think the most important thing for the Vikings is to take the game to the Lakers. The Lakers, play your game. Don't get frustrated. That's going to be important because you know Western Washington is going to be physical. They're going to try to attack. They're going to try to possess the ball. And when you don't have it, how do you respond? When you're not getting the opportunities, do you get frustrated or do you just continue to work?
It's Grand Valley State head coach Jeff Hostler in his 6th season, 137 wins, 11 losses, and 5 draws. His teams are 61-1 in conference play since he took over the program. 2 national titles and 2 runner-ups. He has been unbelievably good leading this Grand Valley State program. And frankly, regardless of division, you could make an argument they've got the best program in the state of Michigan.
Without a doubt. Considering that he came in and won a national championship his first year in charge, that set the table. It set the standard for the Lakers. This is the kind of team we're going to be, and they have been. Hats off. Consistency, one of the more difficult things in sports. The Lakers have had it like few teams.
Good move from the Vikings. Carly White trying to make something happen.
White is going to have a huge game. It was there. She needed to either take the shot or play that ball just a touch quicker, but I really like the midfield. Dropping back, winning it quickly. This is going to be key for Western Washington.
The turf is a little slick because of the light rain, but it's not too bad.
That is an issue, and I'm glad you brought that up. This is absolutely incredible turf. It is the nicest turf that FIFA has in the world, FIFA-approved turf. You see it in MLS stadiums, but the ball is going to move quicker than it did Thursday in the semifinals because of the slick surface. Teams are going to have to be careful of that. When you send a ball over the top, you may have to take a little off of it because once it hits that turf, it's going to fly.
Yeah, it's not sloshy by any means. The intensity of the rain right now is really as hard as it's rained all day. It's just annoying enough. It's more than a mist. It's a steady light rain. We're not really expecting any kind of deluge, so that's a good thing. But look, it's the middle of December in Pittsburgh, so this is kind of what you get.
And weather-wise, it shouldn't be an issue for either one of
Sure.
these teams. Coming from the Pacific Northwest, big surprise here. The Vikings, they're used to playing in rain. And on the other end, the Lakers, they're used to playing in inclement weather, be it cold, snow, rain, so it shouldn't factor into this match much at all.
Grand Valley State from Allendale, Michigan, in the greater Grand Rapids area. We mentioned Jeff Hostler on the other side. Travis Cannell, 17th season leading the Western Washington Vikings. You see him sitting there, the second one in from the right-hand side. He started on a national championship team of his own back at 1993 up at Seattle Pacific. 8th consecutive national tournament for Travis, who just won his 260th game leading the women's side, but he was also the men's coach for about 14 years and won 125 games leading the Vikings men's program as well.
Two incredible coaches befitting the teams and the title we're playing for today. They've both done a fantastic job in Michigan and up there in Bellingham, Washington. These two teams, we mentioned the consistency, what they've been able to do in the last 7 years, the last 10 years, astounding to me.
Oh, it's unbelievable since you brought it up. Grand Valley State, since the start of 2013, the Lakers have 161 wins, 11 losses, and 6 draws. That's a 92% winning percentage, which is the best in the country. Western Washington is right behind them, number 2 over that same stretch. Over the last 7 years, 140 wins, 12 losses, 9 draws. That's a 90% winning percentage. They have been the cream of the crop, and so perhaps fitting that here as we get ready to close the decade of the 2010s, that the two best teams are still remaining here in this national tournament. Good sharing of the ball. Katie Barron can't quite get there near side.
And that's the pressure that Western Washington needs to provide for the full match. From the opening whistle, they've done a good job of it. Can they do it for 90 minutes? Put the Lakers under pressure, force them into mistakes. Do not give a team this talented time on the ball, because if you do, watch out.
Rademacher has it taken off her foot. Good defense from Darby Doyle. You know, the first 9 minutes of this game, really haven't seen much from Ava Cook yet. And that's probably how the Vikings prefer it, as Seth Steinwasser controls along the back defensive line. If you didn't catch the note earlier in the week, it's a pretty special week for the Steinwasser family. Cecilia's brothers, Alejandro and Javier, play for UIndy, whose men's team was eliminated in the semifinals on Thursday after a dream run by the Greyhounds. But both of her brothers and a few of their teammates got a waiver from the NCAA to travel back to Indianapolis separate from the team so that they can stay out here and support that young lady. They're here with her parents, Terry and Henry, who are two of the more well-respected people in the club soccer community in Greater Michigan as well. And Jeff Hostler expressed immense gratitude for what Terry and Henry have done for the young women on his squad, even beyond the confines of what he's been able to help coach them at Grand Valley State. Pretty cool to have this be a family affair for them.
Incredible story, and Terry and Henry have been putting miles on the family car trying to go from Indy to Allendale, Michigan, and back and forth to different matches. This weekend they were very fortunate that all of their children were in one place, and probably, I would guess, maybe the first time since they were young, maybe high school if they were fortunate enough, but that has not been the case in recent years. A fantastic story there, the Steinwasser family.
Grand Valley State, Western Washington, 0-0 here in the 11th minute.
So far, Western Washington on the front foot, doing a very good job. The All-American White dropping a bit further back in the midfield, trying to get more of the ball, and Milburn is really playing above her. There was a question from Zoe Milburn, the junior forward. She picked up a bit of a knock in the semifinal, gets the start today. Not quite sure if she's 100%, but so far showing no ill effects.
That's Sydney O'Donnell, who's a transfer from Vanderbilt, but a young lady that Jeff Hostler has sung the praises of quite a bit. He knows that this team just would not be the same without what she's brought to this group.
I think for both of these teams, even though we talk about stars, be it on the defense and Nelson and Derricks for Western Washington, or you talk about Cook and Segara, they're the goal scorers and the assists for the Lakers. It's everyone on the pitch, and it's not just the starting 11. The fact that they have so much talent that they're able to bring off the bench, the depth of these two teams, a huge reason that they're here in championship Saturday.
You know, there's no doubt that the young ladies on both of these two teams have gotten awfully accustomed to playing deep into the NCAA tournament, and they love postseason time. This is the ultimate goal. This is what you play for. And so far, both teams with a good showing early on really haven't had a good scoring chance yet. Not a huge surprise for the two best defensive teams in the country, but perhaps something coming together here as Ava Cook can't quite get there in time to run that one down.
Both these defenses been able to nullify the other offenses. Cook, who leads the nation in goals and points, hasn't seen a lot of service. And for that matter, Segara, who's the D2 CAA National Player of the Year, I think she's touched the ball once thus far.
Katie Barron heading it, and it's knocked out wide to the right where Rademacher will run it down. Up against a very good defender here in the freshman Mackenzie Burks. Impressed by the way Burks played on Thursday and looking forward to that matchup here on the near side. Burks likes to get forward. Meanwhile, the Lakers here through Parlove. Play this one out wide to the left. A chance now for O'Donnell. Playing it in, and it's deflected away. Never got on frame. Looking for Carranza right at the 6.
One of the better opportunities. The redshirt freshman from Illinois. She was the intended target, but well marked the defender there the whole time. Carranza's so dangerous. They're not giving her any room to operate. But right now, the offense, few and far between. That's an optimistic ball into Carranza. She's good enough to get a touch to it, but well marked.
Carranza was the Chicagoland Player of the Year as a junior in high school, but her senior year suffered an ACL injury and missed all of last year rehabbing, so this is her first opportunity to play college soccer. And Grand Valley State is thrilled with what she's been able to accomplish. 3 20-goal scorers on the team this season between Cook, Segara, and Chantel Carranza, and they all scored in the semifinal game, believe it or not.
Yeah, Carranza's been incredible. She was the conference freshman of the year, first team selection, all-tournament team. I mentioned everything she's done. 7th in the nation in points and 5th in goals, and that's from a freshman.
Taken away by the Vikings. They want to play through White. Pass goes behind Carly. And she tracks it down here. Well done by the Lakers.
And Bartleson there. Bartleson was a huge factor, the senior midfielder. A physical player, reads the game well. She's going to have a good one today for the Vikings, just as she did in the semi.
Good teamwork defensively there. I'll tell you what, this Vikings side, we talk a lot about the goalkeeper herself. Natalie Derricks has had a great year, but let's see. We're 15 minutes into this game, which means the shutout streak for Western Washington is now almost 550 minutes long. The last time they allowed a goal was the conference championship game against Seattle Pacific. 18 shutouts this year, a program record. They have not given up a single goal the entire NCAA tournament so far. Obviously, this is their stiffest test offensively in terms of their opposition. But, that is remarkable defense against some of the best teams in the country.
When you talk about Derricks, incredible. 12 shutouts, 3rd in the nation with a .364 goals against average. And then in front of her, Nelson, who's the Conference Defensive Player of the Year, All-American. That is a pairing you want. If you have a goalkeeper of that caliber and a center back, it is going to be incredibly difficult to get it by them, as we've seen. The center of that defense is so important, particularly these days, because no one's playing a flat back 4 anymore. Your wing backs there pressing forward, they're getting involved in the offense, so your 2 center backs have to be outstanding in every facet.
Well, most sports will tell you, and soccer certainly a similar story, if you're strong down the middle of the field, you got a chance to be a really good team. You need it on both ends of the field, but your center backs, your center midfield, what you can do, center striker up top, and there's no doubt that Western Washington's strength is the middle of the park.
Without a doubt. You look back at the goal, Derrick's in front of her, Nelson, then you go up into the midfield where Bartleson is, and then White, who can play on the inside, you can push her out. That is a very strong spine for the Vikings.
It looks like Peyton Chick's left shoelace came untied, so her teammates are helping her out over there. Thanks for the assist. Moving along here in the 17th minute, the Lakers with a nice move over wide left. Ava Cook here. Cook, great foot skills. She's got a chance, and it spills away from her. They point down for a penalty. Cook taken down just inside the 6. And the clock stops here in the 17th minute. Grand Valley State will have a really good chance.
And you wondered where the offense was going to come from the Lakers. You knew it was going to come. It was a matter of time, and no surprise there. Ava Cook taking matters into her own hands. Steals away the throw-in. Cook just so good with the ball at her boots by one defender, by Nelson, and then the tackle from behind clips the heel. Cook goes to ground, and the referee points to the spot.
Rico Segara, 4 for 6 on penalties this year. National Player of the Year, the only senior on the roster, trying to put the Lakers out front by a goal in the 17th minute. Meanwhile, Ava Cook checks out of the game, and she is replaced by Avery Tack for just a moment here. Check that, Kennedy Bearden, who comes on. Segarra tried the low left corner, and she missed it wide left.
What a turn. She knew where she wanted, but I think Derrick's had it covered. Derrick's knew exactly where that ball was headed. It appeared that she had it. Segarra pushes it wide to the left. Take another look. Huge opportunity missed. I don't know. That was going to be close either way, but just inches wide. Segarra and the Lakers unable to take advantage of the early opportunity, and a massive bullet dodged by the Vikings as we remain scoreless.
You know, believe it or not, the Lakers haven't been elite on penalties this year. They're now 5 for 9 for as good as they are offensively, and they are unbelievable. 116 goals in 25 games.
There's no excuse for that.
Yeah.
Penalties are quite simply, it is one of those things that you just have to do. You have to practice it. You have to know who your penalty kick takers are going to be. Step up, take the time in practice or after practice. It's like a free throw. You need the exact same run up every single time. You know where you want to put it. And what a turn here. Looks for all the world that the Lakers are going to take a lead, but still scoreless after the miss from the spot from Segarra.
Ava Cook checks back in. She needed to get her left knee taped up. Wonder if she skinned her knee there when she went down. So Kennedy Bearden, who does play quite a bit for the Lakers, checks right back off the field.
Be very interesting to see what the reaction from these two teams is in the next 5 minutes or so. Western Washington, hearts in their throats, and all of a sudden able to breathe a massive sigh of relief as it remains scoreless. And the Lakers know that that was a chance against a very good defensive team. You're not going to get a lot of chances. How do they respond? When it looks like they're going to be redoubling their efforts offensively, trying to find the opener.
So the Vikings dodge a huge bullet. Segarra does not even put the penalty on frame. It was a near miss, but a miss. I agree with you. The next few minutes of this game for both sides, now that it feels like the intensity of the moment has really picked up a notch.
Western Washington, they've had more possession, they've had more opportunities, even though they haven't had many. The one real opportunity was the penalty kick for the Lakers, and they were unable to convert.
Working in the middle of the field, a lot of balls played through the air. Ava Cook has a chance. Cook's certainly one of the quicker players in the country, but was marked very well, and they're going to call it a throw-in in the corner. Good defense from Katie Watt. Let's go back to the penalty.
This is it thus far. You see it. Cook goes in, able to win it, does a great job getting behind Nelson, and then clearly the collision there. Segarra steps to the spot and just wide, inches wide. What a turn. For all the world, the Lakers thought they were going to have the opener. Referee points to the spot, and that is one you have to bury. You mentioned it. The only Achilles heel in this incredible offense from Grand Valley State this year is penalty kicks. And that bites him here in the championship.
Chance here for Gianna Parlove. Gianna still finds herself on the ball. Turns and it squirts away from her. And it's cleared out.
And a good response after the miss from Grand Valley State. They're continuing to press, having chances offensively, getting numbers forward. This is exactly what they need to do. They need to work as quickly as they can to get that out of their memory and try to find the opener.
20 minutes complete at Highmark Stadium for the national championship. Grand Valley State in the 10th national final they've played in, looking for their 6th title. Western Washington back in this championship final for the first time since 2016. Substitution for Western Washington, Jenna Kilman comes on, a young lady from Olympia, Washington. And she replaces Peyton Chick. Vikings playing through Darby Doyle here. And a throw in. By the way, we referenced our match official today, John Douglas, but he's not the only one out there. We certainly don't want to neglect our other officials, his assistant referees, Magda Z, Rachel Smith, and the fourth official today, Lucas Feathers. Congratulations to those four and to their families. This is an honor for them as well as it is for the schools and for the players. This one with the left foot sent way too tall, but first time Western Washington's had a chance like that in a while.
And as far as the officials, give them credit. They are selected here because of their performance throughout the season. We have the best teams in the country here in Pittsburgh. We also have the best officials, rightfully so.
Boy, turnover in a bad place. Western Washington with a good chance. It's headed wide.
And it looked to me that Bartleson could have taken that in on goal. She elected to push it out and tried to serve it in. It was a just absolutely, take the turnover here. It was all because of the slip cigar. I couldn't keep her footing, and give Steinwasser credit. The only reason that Bartleson wasn't in on goal and inside that 18 was because Steinwasser was able to drop in and cut off her path. That's why she tried to serve it into a teammate.
Well, if you saw Grand Valley State on Thursday, they had a 3-1 lead over the College of St. Rose. And for a while, it looked like the game was pretty much in hand, but they gave up 2 goals, in large part because of costly turnovers. And they had to figure out a way to hold off the rest of that game. In the post-game press conference, Jeff Hostler said, look, we've got one more opportunity to play a full 90 minutes. We've had really good stretches this year, but perhaps not quite perfect. Rademacher on the move for the Lakers. Plays this one wide toward Katie Barron. Barron has a window, cuts in again, shoots with the left, and she just misses wide right.
Great job by Barron. Slammed on the brakes twice. Defenders went flying by. Just couldn't put that shot on frame. The junior from Novi, Michigan. That is another good opportunity. A good ball across. You see her the first time, able to get by the first defender. The second, she has to put that shot on goal, have to force Derricks into a save. Brennan, to your previous point, Coach Hostler, that was one thing he was very upfront about. He goes, we cannot make these mistakes at this level. You cannot make mistakes like that in a championship final and expect to come away as the national champion, and he's right.
Throw-in comes from Burks, and it scoots pretty deep where Radis will get to it. There's 2 ways of looking at this from a Grand Valley State perspective. On one hand, they just gave up double-digit goals for the season. They just gave up 10 goals for the first time all year now in that 3-2 win on Thursday. It took 25 games for that to be the case. But they've given up 2 goals in a game each of the last 2 games. And so perhaps now that they're seeing some better offensive teams, is there something to that?
That's what stands out to me. The fact that they gave up 8 goals coming in to the Final Four is incredible. But what really stands out is that in the last 2 matches, they've given up 2 goals each. And I think that speaks a lot about the offenses they're facing. They're better than what they've seen this year.
There's Carly White with the right foot, and Radis had it measured fine. That said, with the slippery surface, you got to be a little extra careful as a goalkeeper.
That's a great point. You'd like to see some of these teams maybe take what you would normally call optimistic shots, force the goalkeepers into saves, and see if the ball a little slick, maybe it allows a rebound, and why not force these goalkeepers. It's one thing that neither one of these goalkeepers has been tested thus far. We're already almost 25 minutes in.
Western Washington in the NCAA tournament beat Stanislaus State 1-0 at a double overtime win over Cal State LA back on November 24th. Those games were played in Greater San Francisco up at Sonoma State. They turned around and went home for the second weekend of the tournament. Shut out Point Loma 1-0 in the West Region Championship. It was their 7th appearance in that West Region final the last 8 years. And they knocked off Dixie State 3-0. They were the South Central champions in order to punch their ticket to Pittsburgh. And they shut out Flagler on Thursday in the semifinal game to get here. Western Washington has used offense and defense quite well here this national tournament. This one's played in, deflected out, and the Vikings have their first corner kick.
And that's the difference in this Vikings team from Vikings teams in years gone by. It is a equally impressive defense, but a better offense.
Change here coming for the Vikings. Estera Levinte, the freshman from Bothell, Washington. She's coming on for Liv Larson as Mackenzie Burks stands over the corner kick. 27th minute. This is as good an opportunity as the Vikings have had so far. It's in the middle, knocked straight down, and Radis scoops it up.
And you're right, that is the best opportunity Western Washington has had thus far. Bounces right inside the 6. The Vikings just unable to get a touch to it, and Radis there to scoop it up. Great service on the corner, the in-swinger. And right at Eversole, who scored the incredible goal in the semifinal, just couldn't get a redirect on that one.
Boy, did she ever. Western Washington, obviously impressive on the defensive end, but that goal by Eversole may be one of the best in the tournament we've seen so far.
I think that's one of the better goals you'll see at any level.
Eversole tried to get there, and this one scooted all the way through past Levinte for a goal kick. By the way, we've referenced a couple times these two teams played each other in 2016. This is actually the third all-time meeting, though. They played each other in the 2015 national semifinals. It's almost a little odd that they haven't seen each other more, considering how good both sides have been. But consider this for Grand Valley State. They won the title 13, 14, 15. Lost in 16 and 18, and they're playing for it again in 2019. So they've played in this game in 6 of the last 7 years.
Incredible. But even though these two teams played in the semifinals and they played in the finals in 15 and 16, I think you can, in large part, throw that out. These are very different teams. It's a better offense for the Vikings. Offensively, for GVSU, they're not as big, they're not as physical, but I think they're more talented across the board than they were in those teams in 15 and 16.
Diana Diaz checks in for Grace Eversole. 3 shots apiece. Western Washington has just the one on goal that came on that corner kick. The only corner kick of the match so far. Ava Cook out wide on the left. Can she make something happen here? Doyle got in the way. Cook staying with it. And her cross goes too high, unscathed.
This is what the Lakers want. Get the ball to Cook in space. Let her run at defenders. The last time she had the opportunity, she was able to draw the penalty. The penalty kick the Lakers couldn't convert. But Ava Cook just so dangerous with the ball at her boots. We saw it in the semifinal. Her first touch is as good as I have seen in Division II soccer. She puts it exactly where she wants it, keeps the ball on a string, let her go to work.
So far, the biggest storyline in this final is about a missed opportunity. Grand Valley State's Rico Segarra in the 17th minute misfired wide left on a penalty kick. The top 2 teams remain scoreless as we approach the half-hour mark.
Not a lot of chances for either team, and that's because of the defenses. The best one, obviously, the missed penalty. There have been a few for Western Washington, not many for the Lakers, and kind of what we expected. The top 2 defenses in the country holding their own. The battle's been in the midfield.
Substitution coming on here. It's Lindsay Fujiwara, the senior, coming on at the left back spot for Mackenzie Burks. '30th minute, Vikings in a good place here. Carly White with the left foot. Okay.
I like it. Why not have a go? The only issue is I think she could have taken another touch or two before taking the shot, but again, test the goalkeepers. Neither one has been forced to come up with anything really spectacular. It's all been routine saves thus far.
O'Donnell slots it forward. It's a takedown in the midfield. I don't think we're going to see a booking, but John Douglas is quick to say, hey, no more of that.
And if anything knows about takedowns, it's the 4-time state high school wrestling champ Bartleson, and that was that was more of the math than the pitch that time. She was fortunate that she didn't see a card. Take another look right there. And Cook, that first touch, yeah, up around the shoulders. Cook leaning back saying, you can't do that.
Not afraid of contact.
And to give, in defense of Bartleson, I think she lost her footing as well, and that may have been just trying to keep herself up, but either way, clear foul.
If you're just tuning in, Grand Valley State in white, Western Washington in their light blue uniforms. I have to be honest, I love the color schemes for both these two schools, especially these light blue jerseys. Get a little navy mixed in there with the white numbers. Pretty sweet.
It's good looking. No argument here. But in terms of fashion, I always defer to you.
Chantel Carranza checks out of the game here. Here come the Vikings.
Interesting that after the missed penalty kick, the Lakers really pressing. They were trying to find the opener. Now we're going back. More opportunities for Western Washington. It's been very back and forth. I mean, the Vikings came out on the front foot. They really were able to establish themselves early on. That's exactly what they needed to do. But since that 15-minute mark, I would say it's been pretty 50-50 in terms of possession.
By the way, it was Greta DeLoach who came on for Grand Valley, and you just saw Libby Hilkema coming on here for Darby Doyle on the Western Washington side. Western Washington has only conceded 8 goals all season. And they've got historically one of the greatest offenses in Division II women's soccer history, scoreless, with roughly 12 minutes left in the first half. Western Washington's midfield has more than held their own, but you don't need to give the National Player of the Year room to operate. By the way, Cook goes back centrally with Carranza out, and DeLoach goes out wide on the left offensively.
Yeah, you'll see those two overlap. They're both interchangeables, depending upon who's going to play in the middle and who can play out left between Carranza and Cook, both so talented.
Yeah, they're going to give the throw into Western Washington here. Lights are on, but the rain letting up just a little bit. Still drizzling. Right along the banks of the Monongahela River. Highmark Stadium, home of the Pittsburgh Riverhounds. It's been a wet day.
Yeah, it's a beautiful facility. It's a great host, and most sincere thanks to the Riverhounds and everyone here in Pittsburgh. Just doing a wonderful job. Couldn't think of a better venue for this weekend.
Yeah, it's really cool, and all the teams have been treated so well down here. We've gotten such wonderful feedback from all 8 schools on the men's and women's side. How grateful they've been for this experience.
It just works so well. Their hotel within walking distance. They can come over for training sessions. It's a real treat for fans and players alike.
If you're not familiar with the Riverhounds, they compete in USL Championship. DeLoach trying to attack the ball, pinballed back to the defense, but cleared away.
For the Lakers, you'd like to see them a little more patient offensively. When they get the ball forward, you don't necessarily have to find that first pass and try to get the shot. Take your time, get numbers up there, as good as they are with the ball at their feet. Just figure out who has the better shot. It's not about the first shot. It's about the best shot.
Jeff Hostler looking on, waiting to find out if his team can make something happen here. DeLoach chased after it, but a throw-in coming. Grand Valley State averaging almost 27 shots per game. They took 26 shots in the first half in Thursday's semifinal. Only 4 shots so far against this terrific defense. This cross goes straight over, and it's snatched out of the air by Derricks.
Now you think about that, a team that averages 27 shots a game had almost as many in the first half of their semifinal victory. They are not on pace for that by any stretch. I'd like to see them go back to Cook, even if that means dropping her a bit deeper to get that ball in the midfield. Because when she has it, she's the kind of player who just makes you hold your breath.
There's pretty good composure defensively. Meanwhile, biggest moment of the first half continues to be a missed penalty kick after Ava Cook was taken down on this attack.
And Cook able to draw the foul. clipped on the back heel. Referee pointed to the spot. Segura just pushed it wide to the left. Huge opportunity, goes begging, and score remains scoreless.
36th minute, another substitution for Western Washington. Talia Daigle comes on as the Vikings try to scramble back. Odd touch off Segura's foot. Daigle replaces Carly White. So the Captain White off the field for the moment.
Just a little disconnect between the Lakers, and I think you can credit that to the pressure being applied by Western Washington. They've done a very good job the entirety of this first half of getting on the Lakers, not allowing free runs, those off-ball passes, just no openings.
Grand Valley State trusting Schoolman to get there in time, and she does. By the way, I gave you the run through the tournament for Western Washington. Grand Valley State walloped Southern Indiana 7-1 and McKendree 4-0 in the first weekend of the tournament. Games played at home for them. And they had to go to Minnesota. Games played at Minnesota State Mankato, who handed Grand Valley State their only loss of the year back on September 15th, 1-0. The Lakers played UIndy and pounded the Greyhounds 9-0 in the Midwest Regional Championship game. And then Grand Valley State imposed their will on Mankato. 5-2 the final in the Elite Eight game. The 11th consecutive season that Grand Valley State at least got to the national quarterfinals. And then the aforementioned 3-2 victory over the College of St. Rose on Thursday to bring them here.
The fact that they've given up 2 goals in each of their previous 2 matches says a lot to me. And I'm going to tell you right now, the Lakers have not seen a team as complete as the Vikings, and that is why we are in for this fight today. Scoreless with just over 7 minutes remaining in the first half.
Chelsea Graves, Kennedy Bearden waiting to check in as this ball goes too far. Played back ahead by Fujiwara. Chested down, perhaps an opportunity. But a heavy touch from Diaz, scooped up by Radis without any issue.
And right now, with so few chances coming through the run of play, you would imagine if we're going to find an opener before half, it's going to come via an error, a miscue, or maybe from a set piece.
Doesn't it feel like that could be the storyline even coming into the game with 2 defenses so good? It might not be about who makes the play, but who breaks down first. Those 2 subs coming on. Bearden, who was on for about a minute for Ava Cook earlier. She replaces Rademacher. And Katie Barron checks out here as well. Chelsea Graves, sophomore out of McHenry, Illinois. "39th minute. Grand Valley State, Western Washington, no score in the national championship game.
You would imagine both these teams, they're just going to continue to do what they've done in the first half. I don't anticipate either one of them making big changes here in the final 6 minutes. Sometimes in a match, you'll see a team make a change. They'll commit numbers forward, really pressing for that opener before the break. But with a national championship on the line and this scoreless, I think both teams are going to be content to just continue to do what they are doing thus far.
Across the touchline here and a throw in for Grand Valley State. You know, for the first time since 2009, Grand Valley State has young women on their roster who don't have already at least one national championship ring, which is kind of odd. They'll line up for a corner kick here. Meanwhile, perhaps this is fitting for the senior class for the Vikings, who won the national title as freshmen, and at a bare minimum will be national runners-up as they try to bookend their career with another national title. Meanwhile, first corner of the game for Grand Valley State. Segura plays it in, and they'll have a second chance.
Taken short. Generally not a fan of the short corner, but if they're not going to come out and mark you, if you have the opportunity, why not? Segura obviously the one they want sending that ball in.
O'Donnell, the left-footed swinger. She'll take this one. Hangs it high into the air. It's punched away, still loose at the top of the 6. Punched a second time. And the Vikings get rid of it. Boy, outstanding goalkeeping from Natalie Derricks.
Outstanding goalkeeping and great service on that ball from O'Donnell. She put it exactly where she needed to, and that's all you can ask of your teammate. To put it in that position, somebody has to get ahead to it, but Derricks there.
First two corners of the match, or I should say first two corners of the match for Grand Valley State. Had one on the other end as we get another Viking substitution. This is Peyton Neal, the freshman from Seattle. She's come on here in the midfield for Bartleson.
I like the idea there as Nelson was trying to send it into Hebert. Hebert, the freshman, the local product, or excuse me, the junior forward right there from Bellingham. That's a good ball, just a few inches too far in front of her.
Western Washington takes it away, but doesn't force the issue. Vikings have been much more willing to go deeper into their bench here in this first half. They've used 8 substitutes in the first half, where Grand Valley State has only gone 14 deep total.
I think Western Washington anticipates this match going the full 90, if not further. They want to make sure they have fresh legs for all of it.
Closing minutes of the first half, that was a really good idea, but just a tad too hard for Fujiwara. The wind is not a huge factor, but it is noticeable, blowing from left to right across your screen the way you see it at home. And a sloppy play from the Lakers will give it right back to the Vikings deep in the offensive third.
We've seen a few of those defensive miscues from the Lakers so far. They haven't come back to hurt them. They need to be careful, things that they'll definitely want to clean up for the second half.
Derricks plays a long ball ahead. Almost scooted through. Another Viking throw with 2:20 left before halftime. Vikings take it back. Oh, well cut off. Good work from Parlove.
Great job there. Redshirt sophomore, the Michigan native, just read it, saw what was coming, able to get there first. But as they have been all the first half, Vikings back with possession.
Hebert gave it a good run in the corner, but not quite enough. Alice Hebert, you mentioned from Bellingham. Another one of the good pieces offensively that add a lot of depth for Travis Kinnell.
That's a luxury. I mean, you look at teams and they'll have a great starting 11 or maybe even 12 or 13 who can play, but to have 17, 18 players, to be that deep, you can bring 7 or 8 off the bench to make an impact. That's what Western Washington has.
Another opportunity for the Vikings. Levinte with the left foot centers it. And they'll throw in with 1 minute remaining in the half. Well defended by Chelsea Graves. Levinte can't make anything of it. 10 of the 11 Vikings are pressed ahead as Segara picks this one off. 1-on-3, but the National Player of the Year sends it a long way forward.
Segara just needed to hold that ball, wait for reinforcements instead of taking that shot that was never going to trouble Derricks.
Grand Valley State scored their first goal on Thursday on a breakaway up the left side of the field after St. Rose could not convert a corner kick. They are an electrifying offense, and they don't need long to put one in as the clock ticks down toward halftime. You might not know it by the score if you haven't watched the entire first half, but this has been a tremendous national championship game so far. Offense has been at a premium. Not a surprise for the two best defensive teams in Division II. No score, 6 shots total for Western Washington, 5 for Grand Valley State. But again, the biggest moment of the half is a missed penalty kick in the 17th minute, or else Grand Valley State may be playing from out front.
That's by far the biggest moment of the first 45 minutes. Aside from that, it's been very even. Both teams, not a lot of chances. The defense is flexing their muscle, and the battle's in the midfield.
Been a fun day so far. We'll recap it for you with some highlights and stats coming up here shortly. National championship match continues. It's halftime. Grand Valley State, Western Washington, scoreless on NCAA.com. Halftime almost complete as Grand Valley State and Western Washington have made their halftime changes in the dressing rooms, and they're just about ready to take the field in a scoreless national championship match here in Pittsburgh. Not a ton of highlights in the first half, but we did have a few. Frankly, Kit, it was more about missed opportunities. The 17th minute, the missed opportunity on the penalty kick was easily the biggest play of the match so far.
Throw-in stolen away by Ava Cook, got everything going, got into the box, was able to create space, and then the contact from behind brought her to ground. Referee immediately pointed to the spot. Segura stepped up, but pushed it wide to the left. The best chance by far for either team in the first 45 minutes. Segura unable to take advantage. There were a few miscues, as you said. A slip there. Arnoldson just unable to find her intended target. And with two teams as defensively minded as these two are, not that they can't score goals, but these defenses, it's resulted in a scoreless first half stalemate.
Western Washington's taken one corner kick, and it was a very dangerous corner. The ball was deflected right off Grace Eversol's left foot, but fell right to the keeper, Jess Radis, and did not further threaten the goal. On the other side, Grand Valley State took only two corner kicks. They came in succession of each other, back-to-back right away, but neither one of those were able to be put into the goal either. 11 total shots in the first half, 6 for the Vikings, 5 for the Grand Valley State Lakers. National Player of the Year, Rico Segura, hoping she can have a sizable impact here on the second half as the teams switch sides. Western Washington in blue, ready to go. And the second half kicks off here in the national title game. Along with Kit McConico, I'm Brendan Gulick. Western Washington hoping for their second ever national championship after they beat Grand Valley back in 2016 for their first and only title. Grand Valley State has lost each of their last 2 appearances on this stage since they won 3 in a row, and their 3rd, 4th, and 5th ever, 2013, 14, and 15. They were also national champions back in 2009 and in 2010. Runner-up 06, 2011, 2016, and last year to the University of Bridgeport. You get the picture? They play in this game a lot.
Very similar stats in the first half. Shots just about even, 6-5 in favor of the Vikings. But the stat that really stands out to me, substitutions. 19 different Vikings played in the first half. Conversely, just 14 for the Lakers. And to me, that says that the Vikings are anticipating this one going not just a full 90, but maybe even longer. They want to have their fresh legs ready. And so far, what we saw in the first half, I think it's a pretty good bet that that'll be the case.
Chantel Carranza back in there to start the second half after she was subbed out late in the first half. Freshman playing at center striker right now. Good interception from Burks. Here come the Vikings. Levinte cuts to her left. Burks tries to make a move. And the Vikings win a corner kick here about a minute and a half into the restart.
Very little there. Able to make something out of it. Mackenzie Burks, the impressive freshman from Tacoma, wins the corner. As I said in the first half, with so few chances through the run of play, look to set pieces.
This will be Liv Larson to take, again, just the second corner kick for the Vikings. It's a good one played in, headed free by Schoolman. And it quickly phases out. 39 degrees and raining here in Pittsburgh. Intercepted by Larson, taps to the side. Grace Eversole, one-time strike, diving save, saved off the line a second time. Oh, Grand Valley State with unbelievable defense.
What a job defensively. Still the opportunity and able to clear it away. It was a great ball to Eversole in space. Saw her, wasn't quite sure that her teammate was going to be able to find her. She was, and a huge save from Radis, and then cleared off the line.
Full extension diving stop. Jess Radis keeps the Vikings off the board, and maybe Ava Cook can take some momentum the other direction. Free kick for Grand Valley. The Vikings vehemently disagree.
And Nelson not happy. She stuck out the toe and was able to knock that ball away. There was some contact, but I don't know if there was enough to blow the whistle. The referee saw otherwise. A dangerous free kick coming now for Grand Valley.
So Rico Segarra, who has just dynamite touch, both power and accuracy. She might take a little off here if she looks for the far post. Perhaps she'll try to set a teammate up. All of a sudden, it's the Lakers who have a really good chance to take the lead early in the second half.
Look for Segarra to try to wrap this one around the wall and put it on goal.
Buries it right into the center of the wall.
Poorly taken, right at the wall. The wall does its job, but you have to do better.
Here come the Vikings. All the way across the touchline. Let's go back to the look, though, on the incredible diving play that Jess Radis made.
Just great work offensively, able to find a teammate here. And you saw it, Larson, great ball out, able to find her teammate, Eversole. And just Radis on the spot, finally cleared away. What a job from Radis.
Schoolman and Steinwasser both there along the end line.
That one came off the fingertip. She got very little of it, but just enough.
That one just barely crossed the line. But enough for a goal kick. And by the way, the wind is really picking up now. I think you would probably call it more windy than breezy. It's blowing pretty firmly left to right the way you're watching at home.
In the face of Grand Valley State to start this second half. And what a start to the second half. 5 minutes in, already opportunities on both ends of the pitch.
Ava Cook beats a couple defenders, but can't get past the All-American center back Nelson.
That's been a great matchup all game long. Cook going at Nelson. So far, Nelson not conceding an inch.
Boy, this has been punch and counterpunch here in the second half. We haven't seen a goal yet, but first 6 minutes since halftime, these two teams have really come out firing.
And if you're a neutral fan, you have to love what you're seeing here early in the second half. Both of these teams taking the opportunities. It's box to box.
If you're not a neutral fan, you don't have any fingernails left as Larson throws one into the middle. And it's knocked away by Rico Segarra, but not cleared away well enough. Long-range shot, hits the top of the bar. Came off the right foot there of Peyton Neal. Boy, a great strike. Just a little too tall. Radis likely would have been there to punch it away. But a good look anyways. The Vikings continue to press here.
Great work from Neal. The ball found her, didn't hesitate, and was able to rattle the woodwork.
Estera Levente, last to touch it as it crossed for a goal kick.
And in a game like this, take the opportunities when they're presented to you. It bounces out to her, settles it, rips it right off the crossbar. Great take in that situation from Neal, the freshman from Seattle.
Throw in for the Vikings. Good work by the Lakers. But dispossessed.
Again, the midfield for Western Washington. They're winning most of the 50-50 balls. Anytime the Vikings lose it, they are redoubling their efforts. They are working so hard to get it back as quickly as possible. And that's what's giving them the chances, and that's what's keeping the Lakers pinned in their own third.
That was last touched by Steinwasser. Service in the middle is a decent one toward Larson. Rattles back away toward the top of the box, and a shot that's diving stop off Diaz right foot. Another good play by Radish. She is really shining brightly here in the second half.
I mentioned in the semifinal, give Jessica Radish a lot of credit, the junior from Ohio. When you're playing for a team that is as good on both ends of the ball, sometimes you don't have to make big saves. She has had to make some enormous saves in this matches, and she has been up to the task every single time.
Viking pressure continuing on this offensive end. Jessica Radish, I don't know if she's ever been asked to play quite at this level for this stretch of time all year long. Diaz with a great chance.
She's keeping it scoreless. Another great save here. It goes low and hard to the post. Radish was there in time, able to parry it away. Two huge saves. And I think you can say that number 0 there in the green, the reason that the Vikings have yet to take the lead.
Western Washington trying to wear down the Lakers. Larson back to Eversalt. Tough battle with Parlove. And it's ruled a corner kick.
The Vikings taking what the Lakers are giving them. Eversalt obviously trying to serve that ball in, just didn't have a chance, but was able to still win the corner out of it, still able to make something.
Kennedy Bearden back in for Grand Valley State. Jordan Bartleson returning for Western Washington. Rademacher and Neal both check out. Vikings on the corner kick. No driving ball that never really had much of a chance the first time. Perhaps a second effort. Larson. Good defense from Ava Cook.
Look at all the blue jerseys up the pitch, pressuring to win the ball back.
Levente had the ball at her feet. There was a foul behind the play as John Douglas extends the left pointer finger and says, can't do that.
We mentioned the midfield for both these teams, but the forwards as well for Western Washington. They're getting back defensively. Give them a lot of credit. When your goal scorers are playing as hard as they are on defense, you're going to get opportunities. I think this one just outside of Burke's range. Look for her to send this one on to a teammate.
Here it comes. McKenzie gets it right back, takes a second crack at it. Knocked straight up into the air. I think Larson may have hit it last. No, it went off a Laker. Corner kick.
Not particularly well taken free kicks from either side, both into the wall.
Vikings have been the better team out of the locker room, but haven't been able to capitalize on it yet. As the captain, Liv Larson, Reddy's in the corner, curling in, and it's scooted all the way through, off a Laker. They'll take a corner kick from the other side.
Eversole was there. She was on the back post and maybe an inch from getting her head to this one. You see it take the deflection, and there's number 17 in blue. She's a bit further off than I thought initially, but she definitely was in the vicinity.
Just glanced off of Rico Segarra. Here it comes. Nothing of it. Goal kick.
Very similar to what we saw in the first half, where Western Washington came out. They really took it to the Lakers, and that's exactly what's happening here. Grand Valley State back defending, trying to weather the storm and waiting for their chances.
Two programs that have dominated the national landscape over the last 10 years. Over the last 7 years in particular, they have the two highest winning percentages of any program in the country, and there are 275 teams that play Division II women's college soccer. Eversole along the end line wins another corner kick.
The soccer IQ from Grace Eversole, the junior from Vancouver, just north of the Columbia River from Portland. She knows what to do, and she takes what the defense gives her. She saw that she wasn't going to be able to get that ball in, and for the second time, just plays it off the defender, wins the corner.
So Burks will take the corner kick. Another missed opportunity, but the Vikings keep possession. Played back in by Katie Watt, but a goal kick coming.
And Nelson was there, not a position she's in all too often, but so unable to settle it.
Jeff Hostler played his college soccer at Messiah for, or I should say, played for Scott Fry, who now coaches at Messiah, which is a Division III school that won their 6th national championship last weekend. That's a big deal because Grand Valley State is trying to tie the Falcons with their 6th national championship. Scott and Jeff are still close. Jeff played at Alma College, graduated in 2002, and he was the head coach for Alma back for 8 seasons prior to taking the job at Grand Valley.
What a job he's done there with the Lakers in Allentown, Michigan.
Good work by the left center back, Abby Willerer. They are 61-1 in his 6 seasons, leading his team in conference games.
He set the bar high, winning a national title his first year there. They've been here in the mix pretty much every year since.
An opportunity, another takedown. The referee says no foul.
Yeah, that appeared to be very evenly contested from both players. Steinwasser down in obvious pain.
Well, this is not good. Referee immediately waved on the athletic training staff. Mark Stessner, the head athletic trainer for the Lakers, coming out to attend to Cess Steinwasser. I don't want to speculate at the nature of her injury, but she is clearly in some agony. Hope she's okay. We'll step aside here briefly. No score, about 59 minutes gone here in the national championship game on NCAA.com. Well, a tough scene for Lakers fans here with their All-American center back, Cecilia Steinwasser, She is being carried off the field by athletic trainer Mark Stessner and head coach Jeff Hostler. Clearly unable to put any weight on one of her two legs. Really hope that she's okay. But given that look, hard to know if she'll be able to return.
You're right. What a massive loss that would be. 3-time All-American, 2 times unanimous, and just everything that she means to this team. Obviously, 2-time defending Conference Player of the Year, but she is the vocal leader of this defense. She is always in the right spot. She's making sure everyone in as well. We'll have to keep an eye on Steinwasser, and fingers crossed that she'll be able to come back on. It's
Olivia Trombley who takes her place defensively, and Trombley immediately gets tested. She was the one that hit the ball a moment ago. Trombley, notable this year, she was the Elite 90 Award winner, which is given to the student athlete at all 90 of the NCAA championship events that has the highest individual GPA of any of the student athletes competing in that specific event. Trombley is a transfer from Michigan State out of St. John's, Michigan, a junior defender who's got a big shoes to fill right now with Steinwasser out. And as you mentioned, because she's such a leader on this team, I'm really curious to see how the Lakers respond to one of their best players not being on the field right now.
Yeah, the question is who for Grand Valley State is going to step up and really take on that role as the vocal leader, make sure that everyone is in the places they need to be, who's the one who's going to be carrying the emotional load. Because they're in a difficult position. Half an hour remaining. Possession opportunities, particularly here in the second half, in favor of the Vikings of Western Washington.
Hard contact there, but not enough to draw the whistle. Has some folks in the near side bleachers a little frustrated. This is Carly White controlling down in the corner. White slides it behind Liv Larson, not her best effort.
She needed to make that pass quicker. Larson had already started her run into the box, and instead the turnover. We'll see what the Lakers can do here. Opportunity.
Great shake from Katie Barron. Sends it into the middle looking for Kennedy Bearden.
And right at Nelson. She is a rock. Granite on the back line, his number 13.
Western Washington has been the better team so far in the second half. They've possessed the ball in far more dangerous situations like this. Liv Larson wins another corner kick.
The Vikings have done a very good job doing exactly what Larson did right there. Able to win the ball and turning it into an opportunity. Another corner coming for Western Washington.
They had one corner in the first half. This is their 6th corner kick of the second half. Meanwhile, Western Washington brings Zoe Milburn back on the field. She replaces Diana Diaz. Vikings looking for the game's first tally. Hanging around the 6. Headed away. And then punched out. The follow-up shot saved off the line twice. Boy, this Grand Valley defense continues to live on razor's edge here in the second half, but it's been good enough.
Packing the box full of white jerseys. 2 times that ball turned away. Just no space inside the 6. You saw the Vikings players head up, trying to figure out where they could get a shot off. Did a beautiful job here defensively, able to take it away. O'Donnell then promptly given it right back.
Headed forward. White decides to control it, wait for reinforcements. Carly with a left foot. It's a good-looking ball for the back post, but Eversole was off target. Goal kick, the result.
They knew what she wanted, had eyes on trying to connect with Eversole. Corner kicks have been dangerous, particularly in the second half for the Vikings. Great service in, able to find the spot. Maybe miscommunication defensively. Radis punches it away when most needed. And then another opportunity, and the opportunity starting to mount for the Vikings.
Peyton Chick just returned for Western Washington. Lindsay Fujiwara substituted off.
Western Washington starting to turn the screws. They are just starting to really take control of this game. Still scoreless, still plenty of time.
Down in the right corner. That stayed in play. Opportunity perhaps for White. And a throw in.
The little flick on there from Eversole, just brilliant. Looked like it was going to go out. Didn't see any space there along the end line, and Eversole was able to get enough of it.
Peyton Chick will throw this in. She's been brilliant in the postseason.
She has been the hero of the postseason. The Iron Woman Chick has done everything asked of her. Senior from Kent, Washington. Hoping to wrap up her career with a national title. Started it with a national title.
Foul on the Lakers.
Mutual respect there. Cook being helped up. No malintent from either side. Both teams just battling as they have all match long.
We referenced it earlier. The senior class for Western Washington won it all when they were freshmen. Tavana Tinsley, Lindsay Fujiwara, Jordan Bartleson, Carly White, all part of that senior class. This one's played forward. Perhaps a chance here for Zoe Milburn, and then she wins the corner out of it. Other seniors on this Viking team include Chick, Emily Nelson, Annalise Larilla, who's a captain but injured and not available this weekend. Liv Larson and Aaron Smith round out the seniors for the Vikings. Time and time again, Western Washington have had chances. Will this be the one? Radis punches it up in the air.
Radis took a shot
Sure
inside,
did.
down inside her own goal mouth.
Goodness gracious. Radis in serious pain.
For Grand Valley State, who lost to one of their stars, three-time All-American and the vocal leader of the defense, Steinwasser, who came off a few minutes ago, is not yet returned. And now Radis, goalkeeper, down.
Abby Russo, the freshman from Magnificat High School in Greater Cleveland.
Good to see Radis back on her feet. That is important. Goalkeepers, they are tough as nails. If you're going to come out of the match as a goalkeeper, particularly in a national championship match, and you see Radis doing everything she can to walk this one off, gets the fist bump there from Coach Hostler as you get another look. Just a mass of bodies there inside the six. And it looks, oh yeah, big collision.
I believe it was Eversole that hit her with the shoulder. Anyways, Abby Russo's the team's backup goalkeeper, and she's played in 5 games this year. She's only given up 1 goal in about 180 minutes worth of time, but there's no doubt that when healthy, this is Jess Radis' team for sure. Glad that she is okay. See a couple of other Lakers waiting to check in, including Greta Deloach, and I believe that was... no, Katie Barron's on the field. It's Deloach and Chelsea Graves waiting the 4th referee's spot. Boy, this one's getting awfully interesting here late. There's no doubt Western Washington in the second half has been the better side. But both of these teams have proven so hard to score against all year long as those 2 young ladies both check back in. Let's see, Rico Segarra comes out. And Katie Barron leaves the pitch as well. Travis Cannell studying his sheet, wondering if he's got the magic combination. You'd like to think that the more chances you have, the better your opportunities are to score, but both sides have been so good offensively, it really only takes one. This one is sent wide left from a tough angle.
And still the best opportunity of the match. It was that penalty kick in the 17th minute for Grand Valley State. Segarra unable to convert. That has been the best chance for either team. There have been a few more chances here in the second half. Things opening up a bit as you would expect after a scoreless first 45 minutes. I think for Western Washington, with all these chances, particularly in those last 20 minutes, so many from corner kicks.
Clock stops here briefly while the ball left the field of play. If you're just tuning in and you're a Laker fan, All-American center back Cecilia Steinwasser went out with an injury and was carried off the field. Unsure about her status to return. The referee awards advantage here. And then lets the Vikings know that he would have called a foul, but decided to let things play on instead. Olivia Trombley, who is, by the way, an intimidating presence at 6'1" and a physical center back, former Division I player, has filled in admirably in Steinwasser's absence so far.
Yeah, she's done a very good job, but I don't know that anyone can fill the shoes of what Steinwasser does emotionally for this team.
It'll be a throw-in for the Vikings. I beg your pardon. For the Lakers. Sydney O'Donnell will take it. Grand Valley State in this second half have only taken one shot.
Vikings, they knew what they wanted to do. They have the game plan, but to execute it as well as they have is quite another thing, particularly against a team as good as Grand Valley State. Western Washington has done it. They've been the aggressor. They've put the Lakers on their heels defensively, and they've kept that incredible offense, the best in the country, from being a factor.
116 goals in 25 games.
This is a team that averages over 5 goals a game in the postseason.
They have been held completely scoreless so far, and frankly, in the second half, the Lakers haven't had very many threatening opportunities. By the way, the shutout streak, if you add another 70 minutes to what Western Washington came into this game with, they are now at 604 minutes with a shutout streak dating back to their conference championship game in the GNAC against Seattle Pacific. I want to talk about playing your best soccer at the best time of year. Western Washington giving it their all here late.
And that's a large part of it. It's peaking at the right time. It's building for what you learn in the regular season in your conference tournament. Learning from losses. Coming back stronger. And hopefully by the time you get to that conference tournament, firing on all cylinders, ready to go.
Both teams being allowed to play for a bit, but apparently a foul on the Lakers. It was too much by Ava Cook there. Peyton Chick took it.
Vikings have frustrated Cook. She has had no time on the ball.
Now Greta DeLoach. 1-on-4 here. DeLoach gets some reinforcements. Plays back to Schoolman.
Very nicely done from DeLoach. Didn't have numbers. Was smart enough to pull it back, retains possession, waits for white jerseys to come up, and then the poor giveaway.
Parlove turns it over. Now the other direction, Levinte. This is Milburn in the corner. But her team couldn't get there quickly enough.
That's so frustrating for DeLoach. She's 1-on-4. She's doing all this work, holding things up, fending off defenders, and then the ball turned right over.
Along with Kit McConico, I'm Brendan Gulick. You're watching live streaming coverage of the Division II Women's Soccer National Final. Grand Valley State appearing in this game for the 6th time the last 7 years, but they've lost the last 2 showings. Last year they lost to Bridgeport, and back in 2016, Western Washington beat them for their only national title in program history. That said, Grand Valley State with 5 crowns in school history. They are the measuring stick in Division II soccer. Western Washington trying to prove that they should be considered quite very much on the same footing. Now it's Levinte. She got Schoolman going the wrong direction. Got a little help from Barron, though. And a whistle behind the plate.
The Lakers, as good as they are, the #1 scoring offense in the country, they've got to get more possession and just need to get the ball up front, get the ball to Cook, Segura, let them go to work, Carranza. Because when you have players of that caliber, but they don't have the ball.
Kennedy Bearden told to cool it.
You see Western Washington, they can sense it They just feel that that goal is coming their way.
Darby Doyle working on that far side with Levinte, wins the throw-in. '72nd minute, still 0-0. The Lakers have one shot this half.
That's incredible, to hold a team that averages 27 shots a game to one shot.
Burks into the middle, and it's headed out. Another corner kick. Vikings had one corner kick in the first half. This is their 8th of the second half. Rico Segarra and Darlene Rademacher both returning. Western Washington bringing Diana Diaz back in as well. Something's got to give. Both these teams playing with their emotions on their sleeves, that's for sure. Chick sends it in, and it's headed by Ava Cook, not cleared. Shot blocked. It came off the left foot of Jordan Bartleson and ricocheted away for a corner on this side.
The opportunities, they have come via the corner. Those are the chances for the Vikings. You've got to think if they keep having these chances, it's only a matter of time, as good as the Lakers are defensively.
Burks hangs another one up there, headed by the Lakers. Rademacher runs it down. Peyton Chick now with the right foot. Drives one toward the left post and just misses wide. Radis leaving nothing to chance. The Vikings come up empty again.
Another opportunity and nothing to show for it yet again. Out to Chick. Just off target.
Grand Valley State had a penalty kick in the 17th minute when Ava Cook was taken down in the box. Rico Segarra misfired wide left on the PK. It's the best chance either team has had all game. Western Washington in the second half has had several good opportunities, but in a game between two really good sides, the little things really come into focus. And so far, neither team has asserted themselves on the scoreboard, despite the fact Western Washington has far outpossessed the Lakers here in the second half.
And so many chances on corner kicks, just corner after corner. They've not been able to get one by Radis.
They have also locked down defensively on Ava Cook, refusing to let her one-on-one beat them.
That's what you have to do with a player like Cook, who leads the country in goals and points. They have had somebody in her hip pocket.
We've got a card coming. No more warnings for Sydney O'Donnell.
Chick goes to ground, draws the foul, and the caution comes out to O'Donnell. Picks up the first of the match.
Another set piece. I know you haven't been particularly pleased with the way either team has executed these. No wall to work with here, though.
I think by and large they've done a good job. Just the two driven right into the wall, and I say that, and this is poorly taken. I almost
wonder if she slipped with that plant foot because she hit that ball so awkwardly.
And just put it right to a defender. It's an opportunity, and as we've seen the last few years in soccer, more goals at every level coming via set pieces and less through the run of play. That is something that you have to you've got to be better at.
Great effort there from Schoolman to get it away from Levinte.
When you have those set piece opportunities, at the very least, you've got to get it over the initial defender and put it into a spot where you can get a teammate to it. And everyone in blue on the offensive side of the pitch, but a poor giveaway here. And you see them continuing to press further and further up, just compacting the Lakers defensively. Grand Valley State having trouble getting out of their own half.
Lakers not really valuing possession very well in the second half. They have given it away far too easily. has not stopped raining, and frankly, it's not supposed to, but it's just noticeable enough to be there. It's not quite a mist, but it's barely more than a nuisance, although it has made the surface rather slippery. Ava Cook for the Lakers. The All-American loses possession, but the team keeps it.
Yeah, White there. Bernie, one of my big questions coming into this match would how the Lakers deal with the constant pressure that I thought they would be under, which is exactly what the Vikings have put them under, just not giving them chances. Would they get frustrated? Would they turn it over? I don't know that they're necessarily frustrated, at least not visibly, but they are turning the ball over. And again, Viking just quicker to those 50-50 balls. If there's a ball in that center third, chances are someone in blue is going to get to it.
Hard to disagree, my friend. Carly White rolls it over to Darby Doyle. Both teams littered with All-American talent. But right now it's the Vikings who have the upper hand as the Lakers come up the field. In the 78th minute, only one Grand Valley State shot in the second half.
But that being said, this Laker team, they can strike in an instant. It takes them little, no time. If the door is slightly ajar, the slightest of opportunities. And I think that's in the back of the mind of the Western Washington coaching staff, that they've had these chances, but they haven't been able to capitalize. And if you leave a team like Grand Valley State in a match like this.
Ava Cook with room. Peyton Chick called for the foul.
Physical in the tackle there. All you're looking for is consistency from the official, that he calls it the same way for all the match and for both teams. We'll see if we can get another look here at the tackle as Chick comes in. You see Cook just measuring her. I don't know, it looks shoulder to shoulder. There was certainly physical contact between the two, but
perhaps the argument she didn't really make a play on the ball. But I agree. Certainly looked shoulder to shoulder. So Rico Segura lining up in the corner. Good opportunity for the Lakers. Segura hangs it into the middle, and the Vikings headed away. Rico can't keep possession here. It's a Laker throw-in back near midfield.
We talked about the 19 players that the Vikings used in the first half, and now with just 11 minutes remaining in the match and still scoreless. Thinking that their coaching staff knew what they were doing, trying to get players in and out and keep legs fresh. Referee's part of the game.
Sometimes that happens.
And play continues.
White. Long run with possession. Lays it out toward Levinte. Schoolman there first. 80th minute. Still scoreless for the national championship. Two substitutions. Lindsay Fujiwara running on. Jenna Kilman also checks in. Now, if you're the Lakers, you almost have to rely on the fact that you have continued to make stops. I don't think you can focus on, hey, we've been on our heels so much here in the second half. Their defense, which has been really, really good all year, continuing to show up in big moments, even if the offensive end, where they have executed at a historic level, hasn't had very many opportunities.
No, it's a great point. You're exactly correct about that. And this defense for Grand Valley State has been outstanding. It's one of the best in the country. But when you have an offense so prolific that scores as many goals and sets records, the defense is always going to be overshadowed.
Trombley in a big spot. She came on in the 59th minute for Cess Steinwasser, who went out with a left leg injury, was unable to walk off the field, and has not returned. Trombley has filled in admirably. '81st minute comes into White. Trombley.
I think considering all the possession on the part of the Vikings and the very few offensive chances from the Lakers here in the second half, they'll almost be content to hear that final whistle.
Well, let me ask you this while we have a goal kick here. Where can the Vikings be better? Because they've had more chances in this second half than they probably could have dreamed of, and they still haven't put one in.
Execution. It comes down to execution, and the service has been there on the corners by and large. They put it into dangerous areas, but you have to have somebody. Maybe it's Nelson. Nelson has got great height. Maybe she's the one at 6 foot, the senior. Maybe she can rise above. Somebody has to figure out a way to get to it, because you cannot have corner after corner after corner and come away with nothing.
Morgan Cochran has just checked in. Hasn't played a lot this year. This is her 19th game, but she is not certainly at the top of the list of players that see the field a lot, but maybe she can add a spark here. Cochran, just a freshman out of Royal Oak, Michigan. Meanwhile, Peyton Chick readies for another corner in the 83rd minute. Chick sends it into the middle. Low strike, deflected away. Kilman put her right foot on it, but never had a chance with it. The Laker defense holds again.
And when the Lakers do get it, when they're able to force that turnover, you like to see them get numbers up the forward quicker. See if they can counterattack, particularly with all the corners, and you have so many Vikings in that 18-yard box attacking. If you can get that ball out and spring the counter, you may have a great chance.
Grand Valley State sticking with it down in the corner. That is Cochran, who actively helps win a Laker throw-in. 84th minute. Rain picking up in intensity here. Schoolman throws into Rademacher. O'Donnell at a sliver of room. Now Rademacher in space, plays back wide to the right. And Schoolman got stuffed.
Great ball and equally good defending Fujiwara there immediately.
Grand Valley State hoping for some late second half magic, and they win a corner kick. Rico Segura wins the team's first corner kick since halfway through the first half. O'Donnell and Segura will stand in the corner. Keep your eye on 11. Trombley, who is 6'1", pressing up in the box here. She can get high. It'll be from O'Donnell. Trombley over her head. Fell to Cook, and it's picked away. Here come the Vikings on the counter. They've got numbers 3-on-2. Kilman switches sides of the park. Carly White now with the defense scrambling back. White goes down, no foul.
There was some contact there, it appeared. Referee not blowing the whistle. White, but I think the initial ball was to Nelson. They tried to get it out to White, the attacking force, the All-American. Had they played Nelson in, she may well had a one-on-one.
Good moves by White. Shot from in the top of the box. Deflected away. Bartleson tried to find the lower right corner, and they win a corner kick out of it. This has been a wild sequence.
It has indeed on both ends. The Grand Valley State corner, and the counterattack executed very well by the Vikings, getting numbers forward. We'll see. And then that deflection winning the corner.
Now Peyton Chick takes this corner kick. Hangs it in the middle. It's headed back where it came from. Falls to Carly White. It's saved along the end line. Radis falls into the goal, but with her arms extended, kept it out.
It is where the ball is. The goalkeeper can be in the goal. The ball has to eclipse the line in its totality. Radis, what a job. She is in the goal mouth, but her hands in the ball stay out, cleared away. Incredible.
Bartleson tried to slide and keep possession. There is no doubt about it so far. Jessica Radis has been the most valuable player on either team.
Just about to say.
Unbelievable
the
this second half.
From the junior from Ohio. She is in every save she's been asked to make, she has. in an emphatic fashion. You see it again. Comes out, White with the opportunity, just doesn't sneak through, and Radis got enough of it.
There are also a couple bodies in front of her that help deaden the ball a little bit as Peyton Chick sends one wayward.
And all the credit we've given her Radis, give credit to her back line as well. They have O'Donnell, Schoolman, everyone along that back line. They have done their job. They have been there. And a goalkeeper will tell you she is only as good as the players in front of her. She has some very good ones there in defense.
87th minute of the national championship. Could we be bound for extra time? Segura wide to the right. DeLoach wins a throw in for the Lakers. Long wait here. Lakers finally throw it in. Well, this is the freshman Cochran in the corner. Lost possession. Rademacher's got it. Ava Cook. Throw in for Grand Valley State. O'Donnell finds Cook in the corner. Ava needs to try and win a corner kick here. Well, she splits one defender, and it is a corner.
How she did that, I have no idea. In a phone booth, two defenders there, nutmegs the first, and plays it off the second for the corner. Ava Cook.
Western Washington has outshot Grand Valley 20-6, and they've had 12 corners compared to just the fourth now for Grand Valley State. But the Lakers, with O'Donnell sending it into the sky, headed straight down. It comes out to Segura. 90 seconds remaining in regulation. Kilman. Ahead for Carly White. And a foul.
A massive collision between White and Schoolman. You would imagine this may well be the last chance of the 90 for either team. Western Washington, no surprise, and no real hurry to take this one. They're going to get situated, get organized, and hope to find the game winner here in the final 60 seconds.
Peyton Chick plays it in, hanging in the middle. Now, given the nature of the wins for Grand Valley State, and usually the lopsided victories, they have not played in an overtime game this season. Western Washington lost in overtime to Cal State LA back on September 16th. They beat Cal State LA in the second round of the NCAA tournament in double overtime just a couple weeks ago. Those are their only two overtime games of this season. And it looks like we may be headed for overtime for a national championship. Final seconds ticking off here.
7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2.
This has been a national championship game worthy of this stage. The two best teams in the country have played to a scoreless draw. Some outstanding defense from Jessica Radis. That young woman has absolutely kept Grand Valley State's championship hopes alive.
Oh, what a match it's been. And we came in talking that this was the battle of offense versus defense. It's been defense versus defense. Two of the top defenses in the country on display here, and neither bending, neither giving an inch.
We're going to take a timeout here during the 5-minute break between regulation and overtime. Remember, college soccer, golden goal in overtime as these two teams try to figure out who will take the hardware back to their respective campuses. No score after 90. Come on back at NCAA.com. Ready for overtime for the national championship. Grand Valley State and Western Washington still scoreless in what has been a very physical and frankly well-played match on both sides. Along with Kit McConico, I'm Brendan Gulick. Let's get you caught up to speed, and it begins in the first half, Kit, with the biggest mischance of the day for the Grand Valley State Lakers when they missed this PK in the 17th minute.
Best opportunity for the Lakers, won by Cook. Segura unable to convert. There were a few chances for both teams, but again, good goalkeeping and a few miscues offensively kept it scoreless through the first 45 minutes, but then the second half, it was all Vikings. They outshot the Lakers 14-1 in the second half, and they had an 11-2 advantage in corner kicks, but they couldn't get through, in large part because of Jessica Radis. The junior goalkeeper from Ohio was incredible.
Yeah, truly outstanding. Jessica Radis over and over again, including on this play right along the end line. Got a little help from her teammates as well, but Radis has been the MVP in this one. Western Washington beat Grand Valley State for the 2016 national championship. Final score in that game was 3-2. This one going to overtime here, and let's take a look here at, in particular, what Radis has done time and time again in the way that she has stepped up.
Radis has been on the spot the second half. She has been busy. All these corner kicks, 11 in the second half, and Western Washington had their chances. Radis was there. The defense did a great job. They got numbers behind the ball. They would have packed the 6-yard box. Didn't give the Vikings many clear looks at goal, but Radis was there from in, from out, making whatever save she needed to, and some spectacular ones like that one right there. She has kept the Lakers in this game. She's gotten them onto overtime.
The last time the Lakers won the national title, back in 2015, they three-peated. They beat the Columbus State Cougars 2-0 in that championship final. We are ready for overtime. First overtime game of the year for Grand Valley State. Third overtime game for the Western Washington Vikings.
And interesting, taking a look at that Lakers team, there is no Segura out on. Rico Segura is not starting this first overtime period, and that's huge for this team, particularly when it comes to set pieces.
Well, so far, Grand Valley State has the first chance to run up the field here. They're playing it wide through Katie Barron. Barron in the corner. Couldn't get one to work its way into the box. Katie playing in front of a ton of family. This is really cool. Her grandfather helped build PPG Arena here in Pittsburgh. He was an electrician that helped put that arena together when it was built several years ago. Katie Barron is a Novi, Michigan native. She's got a lot of family and friends supporting her here in Pittsburgh.
Great to see the support, and very warm welcome to everyone back watching in Allendale and Bellingham respectively. They got a quick break, a chance to catch their breath because there weren't many in the second half.
First overtime, it is golden goal. Grand Valley State was outshot in the first 90 minutes 20-6. They were outshot in the first half only 6-5, so that should give you some idea the offensive opportunities Western Washington had. Advantage awarded here. The Lakers looking for blood. Ava Cook plays it backwards, but too many blue jerseys.
Cook has not had space to operate. She doesn't need a whole lot. We saw it, what she can do in tight quarters, but she hasn't had those few inches necessary to get a shot off, as there have more often than not been at least two defenders with her.
Reminder, if you are interested later on, we'll have the Division II Men's National Championship coming up next, scheduled for a 3 o'clock start, although that might be delayed depending on the length of this game. It pins two very good teams against each other. The Golden Eagles from Cal State LA and the Golden Eagles from the University of Charleston.
I think it's safe to say we will have a Golden Eagle champion in 2019.
Really went out on a limb there.
Hey, somebody had to.
2.5 minutes gone here in overtime. Western Washington hoping for their second national championship ever. This is only the second time they've played for a title, despite the fact they've gotten to the national semifinals now 4 of the last 7 seasons.
It's been Grand Valley State attacking here. They've been the team on the front foot through the first 3 minutes of our first overtime period, and that's what you like to see. They absorbed so much pressure in the 90 minutes, in that second half in particular. Everyone back defending, not a lot of chances, and good to see them responding, getting out offensively.
Grand Valley State, one of the best offensive teams in the history of Division II women's soccer, against a Western Washington team that is truly elite. They've given up 8 goals in their 25 games this season. Out on the left-hand side, Lakers win a throw-in. 6.5 minutes remaining in our first overtime. Into the corner, Deloach centers it. Handled okay by Derricks.
The defensive stats from these two teams just incredible. Combined, they have given up 18 goals this year.
Midfield play has been really important and frankly has favored the Vikings quite a bit.
It has. They've done a very good job in that center third, winning 50-50 balls. And everyone in blue has been there defensively. They have all bought in. They have all taken care of defensive responsibilities. That's why they've been able to maintain so much possession in this match. But when you go to overtime, everything is completely different. You can throw it all out. The stats, it's a different ball game, so to speak. But these two teams, they've been here. They've been in these situations. Just want to see which one is able to take a deep breath and find that extra gear.
Well, this is what you play for, and you got to have the mental toughness worthy of a championship moment. Overtime number 1, halfway through.
And speaking of mental toughness, I haven't seen frustration from either one of these teams. Lakers, even though they haven't had chances in possession.
This one's played in toward Carly White. Ricocheted off her head awkwardly. Carly White was offside, though. First offside of the entire match.
And even though there were so many chances in that second half for the Vikings, didn't see frustration on their part either.
Western Washington senior class, national champions as freshmen. For the first time in a decade, nobody on this Grand Valley State roster already has a national championship ring. Will the Viking senior class bookend their career with another title? Or will Grand Valley State win their D2 record's 6th national championship in the last 11 years? Lakers flipping side to the near field. Again, good point by you here early on that Rico Segura not on the field. But Katie Barron is playing fine up front, occupying a lot of that same space, although it's Chelsea Graves that's technically in for Rico Segura.
But for the Lakers, without 2 of their key cogs all year long, 3-time All-American Steinwasser and the Player of the Year, Segura, neither one of them on the pitch here in overtime.
Chantel Carranza is also not playing at the moment. Carranza, Cook, and Segura are 3 of the top 5 scorers in the country. They've all gone over 20 goals on the season. Ava Cook, queen among them, with her 29 goals so far. By the way, Segura, she scored 20 goals. She's also got 23 assists, which is completely insane.
Yeah, to have that kind of parity, and you'll see a player with 23 assists and maybe 2 or 3 goals, or vice versa. You've got 23 goals and 2 or 3 assists, but to have 20 and 20, that's something else.
We're in the 98th minute of play in the national championship game. Peyton Chick plays it forward, and it comes right back the direction it came. Katie Watt back wide to Chick. Top of the 18, perhaps Eversalt. Lays it over to White with the left foot. Jess Radis was there.
The All-American Carly White has not been able to get much going. Senior from North Bend, Washington, the transfer from Seattle U. And both of these defenses They've read the scouting report. They know who the top scorers are, and they've shut them down.
White 5 shots, 3 on goal. But nothing to show for her efforts in the scoring column.
Yeah, those 3 shots on goal, they've been pretty routine. There's nothing that, Radis has come up with some great saves.
Meanwhile, a foul here gives a free kick. Grand Valley State in the 99th minute. If nobody scores in overtime here, we'll have a very quick 2-minute stoppage before another 10-minute sudden death period. This one's launched forward. Katie Barron trying to get there. Instead, Nelson, the All-American center back, got it away. Barron taps it toward the corner. Parlove keeps it in. Outstanding foot skills from Fujiwara. Substitution coming on. Here comes Rico. Back in for Rademacher.
Now, interesting that she didn't play the first 9 minutes of our first overtime, but they'll bring her out for the final 60 seconds, see what she can do.
Ava Cook stumbles but stays on her feet. Segarra chips it forward, trying to find her teammate coming forward. That was Deloach.
And you never
you know what? Beg your pardon. That was actually Graves.
You never want to tell a player to take a dive, but that was the situation with the stumble that you think had Cook gone to ground, the referee would have almost surely blown the whistle.
Have to be careful with the ball here. Inside 30 seconds left in this session. Heavy touch from Katie Barron. Bartleson caught up with her.
She has dominated the midfield. Just always there in the right spot. An incredible work rate from Bartleson.
10 seconds for White. She uses the right foot, looking for the corner. It spills away, and the defense comes up. That wasn't so much about Radis as it was about Sydney O'Donnell alertly kicking it away as time expires.
That is why you take shots, force the goalkeeper into saves. They allow a rebound, somebody's there. And had Sydney O'Donnell not been there, we wouldn't be headed to our second overtime.
Unbelievable effort. Still scoreless. Heading to our second sudden death overtime next on NCAA.com. Boy, it's been a long time since either of these two teams have played this late into a game. Grand Valley State, the best offense in the country. Western Washington, the best defense in the country. And both have been pretty formidable the other way around. A golden goal chance for a national title. Almost came quickly here. Liv Larson couldn't get that ball quickly enough on her foot from Carly White.
What a match this has been. A national championship on the line. 90 minutes not enough to determine a winner. 100 minutes not enough, so we go to our second and final overtime period. What a game this has been. And for the fan just joining us, you look at the scoreboard and scoreless, you'd say, oh, well, that doesn't, you can never understand the match we have seen, the opportunities, the chances, the defense, and really it's been the defense taking control. It's been the story of this match on both sides.
17th minute of regulation. Rico Segarra had a chance at a penalty kick and missed it wide left for Grand Valley State.
Ava Cook won the penalty, was able to get by one defender. The second clipped her heel, went to ground. Referee immediately pointed to the spot.
And a free kick here. Ever since then, frankly, Western Washington has been the better team. They've outshot Grand Valley State 22-6. Only one shot for Grand Valley since the first half.
And what the Vikings did in the second half, they outshot the Lakers 14-1. They had 11 corners as compared to just 2 for Grand Valley State in the second half, but they couldn't get one by Jessica Radis.
Huge free kick here. Peyton Chick, Jordan Bartleson both standing over it. It's going to be Chick. Too tall.
You have to at least put it on goal. Force Radis into a save. She's let off the hook in that situation. And we saw it at the very end of the first overtime period. If you put a shot in, the goalkeeper can't control it. We may not be here had it not been for Sydney O'Donnell's clearance to end that first overtime.
These two teams have been so evenly matched all game. Just about anybody who's a true diehard fan wants to see things end on the field and not in penalties.
And this is the kind of match you hope for in a national championship. Two very even teams, both giving their best.
Larson plays it wide here. Carly White taps once, uses the left foot, it rattles off the crossbar. Hit the bar and the side post, I think right where they come together, and shot back wide out to the left.
Carly White, the All-American, she had eyes for the upper 90. Was hoping that was going to bring the title back to Bellingham. Hasn't had a lot of chances, puts it on her left foot and just off the post.
Vikings coming back into the box. That was actually just below the crossbar. You're right, it was off the post because of the way it deflected back. You knew it had to be the post more than the bar.
It was the Lakers who had more opportunities, the better of the two sides in our first overtime. Right now, Vikings looking to respond.
Segarra lost possession. Here are the Vikings. 6.5 minutes left before we would settle things on penalty kicks. In case you're wondering, Western Washington, last time they went to PKs was last year. They lost to UC San Diego in penalties in the West Region Final. Grand Valley hasn't gone to PKs in a game since the Elite Eight round of 2015. They lost to Central, or I should say they beat Central Missouri in that contest. Carly White to her left, shoots with her left foot, got deflected and took some of the speed off it. Radis okay. Rain has been falling all game. Not terribly heavy, just a steady light rain.
It hasn't affected the match.
Nope.
Neither one of these teams, it's made much of an impact. They've played in similar weather conditions. The only thing that you think could have any impact is the slick surface. The ball's moved a bit quicker, but that was an early and easy adjustment for these two.
Larson ahead to White. Carly White to her left. It's free for the top of the box. Doyle couldn't get a shot off. She turns and fires wide left.
Doyle had to take that first touch. When that ball found her, her only opportunity was to immediately put that ball on frame. The extra touch and gave that Lakers defense time to get organized in front of her.
Chantel Carranza and Kennedy Bearden both checking back in for Grand Valley State here.
Great job from Larson. Able to find White. Beautiful cutback. And that is when the shot had to come from Doyle. Segarra had overran her just a bit.
Ava Cook knocked down to the turf. And a foul on Bartleson. She's going to be given a yellow card in the 106th minute.
Yellow card issued to Western Washington, number 6, George.
John Douglas awards just the second yellow card of the match. It's been physical, but pretty clean both ways.
It has. It's been a great match, and what you would hope for. These two teams, no one shying out of a tackle.
Larson right foots it forward. Abby Willerer is there. Deloach. Cook taken down to turf again. It's another foul.
Yeah, late whistle there, and it's, for a second the Laker fans didn't think the whistle was going to be blown. Clear contact there, and that is what Cook can do so well. She can play herself into space with that deft touch. She uses her body to shield the defender and just able to get the slightest of touches, giving her the opportunity to run at defenders.
Willerer will take it. 3.5 minutes to go. Headed straight up into the air, falls to Ava Cook, who uses her right knee. It's still alive in front, a chance, and the Lakers have won! It's Gianna Parlove, the 6th national title in Grand Valley State history!
Parlove with just her 5th goal of the year. And what a goal it was. The redshirt sophomore midfielder from Brighton, Michigan, on the spot. Ball bounced around, not cleared away, and Parlove able to slip it by Derricks. And again, the national title headed back to Allendale, Michigan with the Lakers.
Unbelievable heartbreak for Western Washington, who was decidedly the better team in the second half. But Grand Valley State just wouldn't surrender a goal. Jess Radis played the game of her life. And you feel for Natalie Derricks, who just couldn't quite keep out this game-winning goal. Gianna Parlove from Brighton, Michigan, biggest goal of her life.
The set piece, Willerer puts it into the danger area. Not cleared, ball bounces around, headed, and comes in. Parlove able to slot it through. You have to clear the ball out of the box. Nelson sent it straight up into the air. No one in blue able to knock it away. And Parlove on the spot for the winner. And the Lakers are your national champions. What a match. And Brendan, I said it, even with all the possession, the opportunities that the Vikings had, a team like Grand Valley State, they didn't get frustrated. They were never flustered. They just kept going, and they thought if they kept working, the opportunity would come, and it did, with just 3 minutes and 25 seconds remaining in the second overtime period.
Grand Valley State withstood 20 shots from the second half until there were only 3:25 left in the second overtime. They only took 3 shots of their own, but the last one went home, and Gianna Parlove gives Grand Valley State its first national title since 2015. They win their program record 6th championship, more than anybody else in Division II history. Western Washington denied in gut-wrenching fashion in a cup final here that will likely be remembered for a very long time. The 2 best programs in the country since 2013 and 2 of the 3 best programs over the entire 10-year decade in the 2010s closes with a classic. What a memorable day here at Highmark Stadium in Pittsburgh. Unbelievable emotion pouring out of the Lakers. You think about all that goes into this moment, all the club soccer, all the travel, all the sacrifices that families make in order to get their young men or young women to a stage like this. And to have it end in jubilation for Grand Valley State, something, frankly, these young women dreamed about when they committed to go play for Jeff Hostler, who just won his 3rd title as a head coach at Grand Valley in 6 seasons. And on the other side, Western Washington, nothing to hang their head about. They played an unbelievable final. They finished the season with a 23-3 record. Grand Valley State closes the year 25-1. So Grand Valley State will have a trophy presentation coming here shortly, and we will cover that for you as our live streaming coverage continues on NCAA.com. Big thank you to our entire production crew, led by producer and director Greg Ambrose, by Nick Young, and all of our camera operators who have withstood the weather for the first half of the day. We still have the men's title game coming up here in a little while. It was scheduled for a 3 p.m. start, but that will certainly be delayed to a slightly later time. We'll let you know along the way when we figure that out, but it may be at least 3:30, I would think, before the trophy presentation here wraps up and those men have a chance to get out there and do their warm-ups. For Kit McConico, I'm Brendan Gulick. Congratulations to the Lakers. For the 6th time in program history, they are the national champions.
Ladies and gentlemen, first we present the 2019 NCAA Division II Women's Soccer All-Tournament team. At midfield from St. Rose, senior Megan Burchart. A defender from Flagler, sophomore Sarah Carr. At forward, from Grand Valley State, junior Ava Cook. At midfield from Grand Valley State, senior Rico Sagara. At midfield from Grand Valley State, sophomore Gianna Parlove. At midfield from Grand Valley State, a junior Katie Barron. At goalie from Grand Valley State, junior Jessica Radis. At forward from Western Washington, a senior Carly White. At defender from Western Washington, senior Peyton Chick. At midfield from Western Washington, a senior Jordan Bartleson. At midfield from Western Washington, junior Grace Eversole. And the 2019 most outstanding defensive player, as voted by members of the committee, is from Western Washington, senior Peyton Chick. And the 2019 most outstanding offensive player, as voted by members of the committee, is Grand Valley State sophomore Gianna Parlove. Fans, let's hear it for your 2019 All-Tournament team. Ladies and gentlemen, this time we ask that you please direct your attention to midfield for the presentation of awards for the 2019 NCAA Division II Women's Soccer Championship. First, let me introduce the members of the NCAA Division II Women's Soccer Committee. Mr. Gary Kagavias from Edinburgh, University of Pennsylvania. Mr. Chad Markison from Minnesota State University Moorhead. Mr. Neil Piper from Texas A&M University Commerce. Ms. Kelly Kish from Lake Erie College. Mr. Larry Carpenter from Lee University. Ms. Jennifer Bell from Converse College. Mr. Jason Carmichael from California State University East Bay. And the chair of the committee, Mr. James R. Moore Jr. from Georgian Court University. Fans, let us recognize and congratulate the two teams in this year's championship match. A final record of 23-3. The 2019 runner-up is Western Washington, coached by Travis Cannell. We ask that the players please step forward and receive an award as we call your name. Goalkeeper, Junior Natalie Derricks. Midfield, Junior Darby Doyle. Defender, Senior Tabana Tinsley. Defender, Junior Talia Daigle. Defender, Senior Lindsay Fujiwara. Midfield, Senior Jordan Bartleson. Midfield, Sophomore Diana Diaz. Midfield, Freshman Libby Hilkema. Midfield, Freshman Peyton Neal. Forward, Senior Carly White. Forward, Junior Zoe Milburn. Defender, Senior Peyton Chick. Defender, Senior Emily Nelson. Defender, Senior Annalise Wawawa. Defender, Freshman Katie Watt. Defender, Sophomore Karina Provo. Midfield, Junior Grace Eversole. Forward, Senior Liv Larson. Forward, Junior Sophie Butterfield. Forward, Junior Alice Hebert. Defender, Freshman Mackenzie Burtz. Forward, Freshman Stara Levinti. Midfield, Sophomore Kaylee Etherington. Forward, Junior Jenna Kilman. Goalkeeper, Senior Aaron Smith. Goalkeeper redshirt freshman Clara Henninger. Assistant coach Claire Morgan. And head coach Travis Cannell. Congratulations on an outstanding season. And now the 2019 Division II Women's Soccer Championship from Grand Valley State, coached by Jeff Hostler. We ask that the individuals please step forward and receive your award when you hear your name called. Forward, Junior Ava Cook. Defender, McKenna Schoolman. Midfield, Sophomore Darlene Rademacher. Junior defender, Cindy O'Donnell. Sophomore defender, Morgan Krause. Sophomore forward, Greta Deloach. Junior defender, Olivia Trombley. Junior defender, Cecilia Steinwasher. Freshman defender, Kate Brown. Freshman forward, Kenny Bearden. Freshman defender, Sarah Skolinski. Midfield, Senior Rico Segara. Freshman forward, Morgan Cochran. Freshman forward, Brooke Russell. Sophomore midfielder, Haley DeHaan. Sophomore defender, Abby Willer. Sophomore midfielder, Gianna Parlove. Junior forward, Katie Barron. Sophomore midfielder Chelsea Graves. Junior midfielder Lauren Ross. Junior forward Hannah Klingerman. Freshman forward Chantel Carranza. Freshman goalkeeper Abby Russo. Sophomore goalkeeper Callie Rich. Sophomore forward Tamia Robinson. Junior goalkeeper Jessica Radis. And head coach Jeff Hostler. At this time, we ask that Jeff Hostler and Rico Segarra please come forward for the team trophy for 2019 national champions, Grand Valley State Lakers. Fans, we ask that you stick around for the men's national championship. The match will start in approximately 38 minutes.